Lots. I think we've been looking to do this for a while,
Ages.
for ages. For people who don't know, I mean, Lots is a past client and a very good friend. We've been connected over this consumer app space. Lots, I'll let you do a bit of an intro of yourself, your, past projects, but yeah, very happy to be here with you, and I'll just pass on the mic to you.
Sure. So I'm Latana. People call me Lots. My background has actually always been the uh, finance and creator space. Originally had a VC-backed startup in London, and then did it for 3 years. End up failing, and I kind of thought to myself, "Hey, let me lick my wounds by trying to create my own mobile apps and see how that happens." And luckily for myself, this was mid 2022 when GPT was first commercialized. So I was able to kind of like ride that wave, built multiple apps in the last 3 years, and exited all of them. One of them with help from producers as well while working with Alex. So it's been pretty cool.
So you've not only done it once, you've done it several times, and that tells me there's a bit of a repeatable process in place, or so, at least some things you follow when you're thinking about coming up with ideas, coming up with apps. So starting there, maybe lots. Can you walk us through how, at least in the past, how did you come up with some of the ideas for your apps, and if there's an actual process behind it that validates my thesis?
Yeah. For me, it tends to be like two things. It's like I know I'm going to use social media distribution. So I basically look for things that people are already doing itself or already complaining about on social media, then reverse engineer from there. That's what I tends to do. That's the first thing. And then number two, again, just with the idea generation, what I'm really a big fan of is not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm kind of like, okay, cool. If there's already a wave coming in of a certain thing, okay, let me create like a niche version of that thing with an audience that I know really well. And for me, like a lot of the apps I've created are like Christian related apps. So I know that audience really well. I already have like a huge email list of those people, so I can create really great lookalike audiences. I know what I guess triggers them and what's getting them to comment on what they really like at the end of the day. So to give an example with Praise Screen, so Praise Skin was an app that, it blocks your apps and you need to pray to unlock the apps. Very simple, one function. The app literally had three screens maximum on it itself. And what I saw is that there was a trend of people caring about their screen time. So there was Opal doing 5 million, 5 to 8 million ARR. There was Screen Zen, one sec. And one thing that really changed my frame of thinking, I think it was one sec. I looked at their app and I found that all they did was you try to open Instagram and it just has like a 3 second timer and it just says breathe. And then it opens Instagram and they were doing 400K a month. And I was just like, wait, what? There's nothing really that crazy happening over here. So I was just like, okay, cool. Can I take this and put into the Christian space where it also has some benefits for people as well? And that's what we did.
Yeah, with Praise Screen, it was very curious because you took something like Opal was doing, like the screen blocking, and you merged it with some of what the other kind of Christian or Bible apps were
Yeah.
doing. So it was a very, very good idea. And lots, when you say social media, is it only TikTok, Instagram, or do you go on other platforms like Reddit, X? How do you come up with these like things people want? Is it only with, active scrolling or being mindful of when you're scrolling, or is it on other apps as well?
Yeah. So like for me, like how I think about things is that you do like it's not hard in terms of like there is a process that is repeatable. It's not just it's not always gonna work as well every time, but there's always a process that's repeatable. And for me, it's like if I know that I'm gonna do UGC first, to then find the right creative that's gonna work well,
Hmm.
then do ads after. Of course, the idea I need to find it from the social media platform that I'm going to do UGC on in the first place. That's kind of
Hmm.
like the whole point. So I wouldn't personally go on Reddit
Yeah,
to find an idea because that user base is completely different
completely.
from let's say TikTok or Instagram, whatever it is. And also not just that, it's just like I know I'm gonna market on TikTok and Instagram. So of course I'm gonna find those ideas on there first. Right. So it's kind of like the people always say hindsight is always 2020. It's kind of like something is it's very obvious. Like if you're gonna market something somewhere, you should look at the people that are already there and kind of
Yeah.
see the problems or what they're already talking about.
And yeah, this is beautiful. This just touches on both from an app standpoint, like the UI, the UX, and then even the marketing strategy. Just simplicity wins from what you're telling me. I mean, but I think both times we worked together, you came to me with already content ideas and links that you wanted to do. So lots. I think a lot of people that are watching have very good ideas and have concepts they want to try,
Mhm.
but from what we see today, I think a lot of where people fail or give up or stop kind of start pursuing other ideas is because they don't know when an idea is actually going to work. So for you, what were the kind of signals you saw that told you that that app, that project really had potential before doubling down, before making the tough calls and taking the risks of
Yeah,
investing in growth, for example, and doubling down?
yeah, exactly. So like on my side, first thing I want to see is a more broader app that's doing like 6 figures plus a month. That's kind of like my first signal. Like I want to see multiple people in the space. So some people in app space are kind of like, I don't want to see anyone in the space. If I see anyone, it's too competitive, etc., etc. But for me, I'm happy when I see that. I'm kind of like, okay, cool. Multiple people have cracked the same thing. All I need to do now is just find my own little niche. And again, my important thing I think to mention here is like when I build these things, I build to sell, right? So that's probably also my mentality. So some people may think of it as, oh, I will not hold this forever, which is fine. But for me, I'm just kind of like, hey, I can build this, get to a nice MRR, and then within like 6 to 12 months, exit and get like
Yeah,
a huge full of cash. That's why I think about it. So for me, I'm looking for, I want to play games that I know that I can win.
yeah,
Itself in a time period that I'm comfortable with on that end.
yeah,
So I guess yeah. So number one is then looking at what apps are already out there. So that's the first thing. And then number two is when I go through social media, and especially like TikTok or Instagram Reels, looking at the comments of what people are saying. Like if it's something that's highly being engaged with in terms of let's say one of them, for example, was toxic traits, right? It was kind of like I always saw on socials like again, I'm a guy, so obviously I'll be seeing a lot of girls' content talking about guys, and it was always kind of like, oh, he ain't shit, he's toxic, he's a
hmm
narcissist, blah blah. And then I looked at the comments, and girls were like, yeah, yeah, he is, blah blah. And they'll be talking about different signs and Libras and I don't know, whatever those things are, blah blah. So I just kind of thought to myself, okay, let me reverse engineer that and create an app that literally you upload screenshots of conversations and it gives you like a toxic report on those people. So those are kind of like the things I look for. I do think there's never anything that's kind of like, okay, this is 100% going to work, so let me just do it. If there was, everyone would be building apps, right? At the end of the day.
yeah,
So I think there also needs to be that self-confidence where you can just take that risk and be like, okay, cool. I need to get my confidence level to like 60, 70%. And the other 30% is just faith for me to just betting on myself and then going in on it. So I think I see a lot of people trying to get to like 90%, 95% before they do things. And it's like, you're just never going to reach there.
yeah, yeah. A lot of optimization before actually,
Yeah.
diving into the thing. No, that makes a lot of sense. And one thing I see you talk a lot about, I think saw you in a different podcast or interview talking about onboarding and how important onboarding was. So I want to ask you, first of all, what your take is on the importance of onboarding, and then the biggest mistakes that you've seen founders make in that side of the app and the onboarding and the retention, and how were you able to fix them
Mhm.
for yourself, for your own apps? Yeah, if you can dive a bit into that, I think that's really, really interesting, especially with users coming in from socials.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'll start with onboarding and talk about retention afterwards. So with onboarding, I see so many people making so many mistakes. One of them is not paywalling in the onboarding. I mean, we had Vitali, who's the founder of Adaptive. They like track over 2 billion a year in transactions on mobile, and he came to my house and literally told everyone, look, like most conversion is no, not even most 80% plus of conversion happening in onboarding. So that tells you like you need to put all your effort in onboarding. That's actually the most important part of your app itself. So a lot of people don't do paywalling. Then the second kind of like a subsequent thing is that they don't put enough paywalls in their onboarding. They just put one, right? And I'm actually a big fan of like putting four in there. Like I have one before onboarding. Again, these are skippable, right? Then I have the normal one. Then I have the abandoned cart one, which is at the 70% off. Then I might have a second abandoned cart that could be like a lifetime deal itself because you're just trying to get them to convert because you know that if those 20% don't convert, it's going to be 1,000 times harder to get them to convert later on. I think as people that are building things, we always think, oh, let me show them value first and then they will convert. But how users actually think is, oh, I've been getting this value for free. Why am I now going to pay for it? So that's actually how they actually think about things. So that's something else. I think I've talked to people about recently as well is putting the review modal in onboarding. A lot of people don't do that. And they're kind of like exactly the same thing. I want to show them a good experience first before I ask for a review because I don't want to get a 1-star review. Look, at the end of the day, you're gonna get loads of 1-star reviews, right? I was getting people emailing me saying, "Oh, why would you do this in the Bible?" and whatever it is. But at the very end of the day, we're 4.9 stars, over 10,000 reviews at the end of the day. So you're gonna get 1-star reviews, and you shouldn't like be caring about the singular ones here and there at the end of the day. And also the math just makes sense because if you're either paying or you're having traffic coming from social media into your app, people installing, the average conversion rate is about 2 to 3%. So if we did run the math like easily, if we have 100,000 people installing your app, if you don't put the review modal in your onboarding, that means the only people that will see the review model will be the people that convert, right? So now into the funnel now is now only 2K people that will be able to even see it in the first place. And not everyone actually even does that or clicks the 5-star review. Let's say 10% of them do that, right? Approximately. And that 10% may vary in terms of the 1 to 5%, right? At the end of the day. And another thing is that once people pay, their the they're actually more critical of you. So you're actually going to get probably even a lower average of ratings. But again, let's run the math. Let's assume that all of them put 5 stars in there. So of that 2,000, only 200 put 5 stars. However, if you put it in the onboarding, now 100,000 people see it. Right? If you now take the same math of 10% of them, now you're getting 10,000 people. Even if you say 5%, 5,000 people compared to 200 people itself. And what that really helps with is your ranking itself in the App Store because obviously the more reviews you get or the more high reviews you get, the better it is for your ranking and in terms of your keywords. It helps your ASO a lot. So much so now that I think when you type in just the word pray into the App Store, like I think we come at like number 4 in there. And pray is a highly contentious word itself, right? But now if you type in pray screen or any other thing, of course we come out number 1 through there. So I think that's that when it comes to onboarding. When it comes to the retention side of things, I have a big problem with retention because I think people over focus on retention too early because they're very like, I need to retain, blah, blah. But I'm just like, okay, you need to have the users first to retain them, right? That's kind of the key thing. And what you're retaining them for, that's also another thing because at the end of the day, you need to tie this to revenue. So if a user has paid $60 for a year, before you like, if you're putting so much work on retention, before they retain, which will be the next year, you need to wait a whole year for you to be able to see whether they even retain in the first place. So it's kind of like doesn't really make sense for you to focus on retention if most of your revenue is coming from yearly itself. Maybe further down the line, yes, that's helpful, but the most main things should be getting the funnel in and getting as many people in. Of course, if you have monthly subscriptions, then that tends to be like maybe 80% of your revenue. Then retention makes more sense because it's a month by month thing before they actually cancel or whatever it is, and you want to kind of increase the average revenue per user or LTV of that user itself. So that's why I think about retention. I see a lot of people like super early on, you have like 100 customers, and you're saying, I want to work on retention. It's just like, no, that's not the problem here, like at all. And I'll
Yeah.
say last of all, I think looking at the funnel from the beginning to the end, and then understanding what the benchmarks are in the industry and comparing yourself to them. So I have some people that I consult, and like they will be getting, let's say, 2-3% conversion from install to paid, which is the industry average. And then they're telling me, yeah, we need to work on that conversion, bro. I'm just like, look, you're already at the industry average. Like, there's probably other things you can work on that are lower hanging fruit, that could really work well for you, right? And then they were telling me this, and I was like, okay, cool. What's your paid ad cost per install? They're like, oh, it's $1.80. I was like, yeah, that's the problem. It's like if you kept at 2-3% and then reduced your cost per install to like 90 cents or $1, you're gonna get double the people coming in and double the revenue at the end of the day. But you're here trying to, update your paywall itself, because like for me it's like you only work on something until you get to the industry average, and then after look at if there's any other lower hanging fruit itself to work on.
Yeah, this is great. Lots. I have a bit of a different question here, but do you think what a lot of what I see in the consumer app space, even in the B2B space, is that the kind of decision making on which problem to solve is more often with most founders and most teams based on what people want to work on rather than the actual bottleneck of the business, right? So I think that's a
Exactly.
big thing with like technical founders. I don't know your opinion there.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. I think it's people just want to sometimes look busy and not go after the problems that are like you say, like all the bottlenecks. But also sometimes people also don't know. I
Yeah.
think I see that a lot of the time. It's kind of like, oh, everybody else is doing this, so let me just try and kind of like do this
Hmm.
myself. And I'm just like, for example, like they'll look at people like Kale Eyes, right? And they're optimizing on completely different things because they're on a completely different level to you, right? They're
Completely.
doing 3 million MRR, you've just crossed 2K MRR.
Yeah.
It's up, and you're thinking, oh, let me do the optimizations they're doing now. So, for example, I give some advice to people to be like, oh, okay, cool, you need to have an abandoned paywall. What can I do? Like, oh, but like, I try to kill Kale AI, they don't do that. And I'm just like, do you know how many iterations they've had?
Yeah.
Like, I remember when they were doing that itself, of course, they have their own data now to be able to kind of let them know what to do or what not to do. But some people are kind of hard to speak to because they're just going to end up doing whatever they want to do anyway.
100%. 100%. One thing you talked about lots is about yearly plans or yearly subscriptions, right? Do you think, obviously, when you do have most of the revenue coming in from yearly, um, retention stops being that big of a problem because you already retain the user. You're retaining the user for at least a year, so it's more about making that user active. Am I wrong in this?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think, yeah, 100%. Like, it doesn't. Honestly, this may sound crazy, but like I'm not. Like, again, I think it depends as well because if you're trying to build a durable thing for like 3, 4, 5 years itself, then it becomes more important because obviously you want that. But at the same time, for me, because I know I'm gonna exit and I'm looking for cash flow at the end of the day, if I've collected the cash up front, honestly, I don't really care what happens
yeah.
like afterwards per se. So I'm really just focused on the first part of my funnel, which is just okay, get from social media to my app to converting itself. So
Mhm.
that's my side of going through things, but everyone's kind of different based on what your
Yeah.
goals are.
And once again, like you said, even if you did care, even if that was a priority, that's only something that's worth solving once your top of funnel is fixed, right?
Exactly.
So about that, going into marketing a bit, what's really interesting about what you're saying is with any idea that you kind of come up with, you not only already validate by other apps in the space start doing well, but also with ideas and the marketing channels you're pursuing for the app that are already, being talked about and kind of going viral, right? So how do you decide the go-to marketing strategy? Because it seems to me that that's already kind of pre-decided, or that's something you already do before or when coming up with the idea for the app in the first place. But yeah, can you walk us through a bit of the kind of if there's any frameworks or filters that guide your choices on go-to-market strategies?
Yeah. So for me, go-to-market is always the same thing. Is always is UGC first, and that's then used to find what kind of hooks consistently work. So for me, I don't actually go for virality. That's not what I really care about. I mean, like it's if it happens at the end of the day. But what I'm looking for is that is there a hook that we can just keep on using and keep on getting 10K views every single time, or at least an average of 10K views every single time. Because guess what? I can then create multiple accounts doing that same thing and it's gonna keep on working. At the end of the day, if I can get something that's always getting me, 5 to 10K views and I have 10 accounts doing that, then that's like 50 to 100K views I'm getting, and that could be automated and it'll be super cheap because the UGC creators don't have to think. Right, it's kind of like, yeah, just repeat the same thing, slightly different hooks, just keep on doing the same thing. So I think I like it for that, but then I also like it because then one that UGC, any app that is huge right now, like 500K plus MRR, actually probably even 100K plus MRR, they're running paid ads. No matter what they tell you, they're running paid ads for you to be able to scale. But the thing is that for paid ads, you need good creatives, and I get that from the UGC because I'm kind of like, okay, if you just think about it logically, TikTok is a place where you post and it gets dispersed to everybody. There's no filters whatsoever. If there's a certain type of content that keeps on getting kind of like good views, that means that the general person, when they see that, they interact with it, they like it for some reason, whatever it is. Now, if you put that to paid ads, where you now have those levers where you can be like, oh, I only want to show this to Christians, or I only want to show this to women who are this age group, of course they're going to like it because you've already kind of proven it out already when it comes to organic. And that's why we were getting like, I think the best thing we were getting was like 30 to 40 cents per install in the US market, which was insane. And we actually used the same creators from Plutus for the 6 months and they just kept on working
Yeah.
itself. Of course, that could be something out of luck, but it's kind of like we created that luck anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my thought process.
That's one thing I struggle a lot to explain to other founders and even other clients sometimes. It's that um, the 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 heavy lifting
Mm,
is validating those hooks, those content formats, those content styles, because once it's validated, you have no idea for how long you could be running one style with paid and with UGC, even if it's not going to millions of views. There's so much you can do, because the bottleneck of paid, like you said, is almost always creative. Is
yeah.
creative fatigue. You need new creatives and you need good ones. So
Hmm.
validating them organically and then turning them into paid is, in my opinion, like yourself, the best thing you can do.
Yeah, like even when I speak to people and I talk to them about like, working with an agency, working with you guys, like the normal question they always ask me is kind of like, oh yeah, like did I get my ROI from like how soon can I get an ROI? And I'm just like, yo, that's not how it works. Like it's not like, oh, UGC, they're now gonna give you so many viral videos, you're gonna get make it back everything you paid from them. That's not that can't happen in a month, right? Of posting. That's not it. It's just more so like for me, what I'm happy about is kind of going through many iterations of hooks and it's just many shots on goal. That's kind of like what I kind of caring about. Just so that I can be able to quickly see, okay, is this thing working? Is this something else that's not working? Okay, this one works. Can we try that across all accounts? Is it something that's like working universally or just this account that's actually working really well?
Yeah, and scaling across accounts, then scaling across platforms. Like if you have
Hmm.
one video from one creator that works, you can almost 20x the distribution of that style going forward every day because you're doing it across five accounts, across four different platforms, and like it's
Yep.
just insane. So that's one concept that's really interesting, and that yeah, I'm happy that you said that because obviously you've done this several times, lots. Just for people who don't know, I want to ask you. So your apps, you mentioned some in the Christian space, another one. Can you tell us which apps, if people want to go check them out? Because then I want to get into Praise Screen, for example. So you had Praise Screen. What were the other ones?
Had Bible Body, Toxic Traits, Gray Screen. I think those are like the
Three
three
main.
kind of like main ones.
Yeah, that's great. I'll leave the names below as well. But with
Oh,
us,
sorry, I forgot Magic Music as well.
okay,
Yeah.
Magic Music.
Yeah. It was basically like a AI music tool, kind of like
Okay.
Suno or built on top of Suno at the time. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay, man. And look, with us, we've worked with Praise Screen, I think is the main one, main
Yeah.
use case, and then Toxic Traits as well. We've done quite a good campaign for Toxic Traits as well. Looking back at those campaigns, lots. I want to ask you, frankly, what impact do you think that they had in the growth of the apps, and is there anything that surprised you most, whether it's just on UGC or the agency overall? Well, whatever you can share would be great for insights for people who are watching about, you know, um, the impact that you can attribute to the kind of the strategy we ran together.
Yeah. I think I will start off with the on the agency side. People are normally, and also myself, I was kind of not against agencies, but kind of like agencies always gonna try to scam you or something like that. That's always kind of like the vibe. It's of course I did some due diligence myself, spoke to a few people, blah blah. And a lot of the times when I ask them, okay, what's happened to them? They're like, yeah, they're great. And I'm just like, okay, cool, but why are you not working with them anymore? And the answers I was getting is because, oh, the creators will just work so well that we just ran with paid ads with them. I was just like, okay, cool. Something I did like, which is not necessarily to do with the creatives, is just operationally, is just, for example, if there's a creator that, doesn't post consistently, I don't have to be like, hey, creators, can you update this person? It's kind of like you guys even tell me before I even know. Like, hey, this person's not doing it. I'm gonna like replace them with this other person, all that kind of stuff itself. So that's something I really like, and I specifically remember, and I really like because a lot of people don't realize that the I think there's a skill issue to it, but like managing 16 to 18-year olds, making them post every day, it's is a headache. It's an absolute headache, right? So it's like that's something I appreciate the alleviation of that stress, because you could hire three or five UGC creators and everything it was sounds well on signing, and then one person's kind of like, oh, I'm going to my friend's birthday, so I can't post or whatever it is, and then you kind of lose that consistency, and the algorithm, as well, and just not having to deal with that kind of like management side of things, but then having that reporting side. Also, what I did like was, I guess you guys' growth because I was there originally when you guys just had spreadsheets to be able to show, and then you now have your own like kind of platform where you actually kind of show itself. So it's kind of just showing how things have grown and matured, and how you probably just listen to customers and what they want to be able to
Yeah,
see in their own time, right? Because like. It was a very, I wouldn't say it was a drastically different experience, but it just felt more self-serve the second time around, which
yeah,
is kind of like cool for me to be able to see things. So I think that's that on the agency side of things. I think on the creatives, it was just kind of fun to be honest, just to be able to see what would work and what wouldn't work itself, and just kind of like see, okay, cool. And I think what I really liked is like I'll just see something on TikTok, I'll post it in the Slack channel, and then like Cassia or whoever's like leading the influencer, sorry, the UGC stuff, will just be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna sign into this creator, and then we'll go from there itself. And then by the next day or 2 days after, a post is already made around that itself. So that's why I did like a lot about it.
yeah, yeah. No, this is great, man, and yeah, I appreciate you saying this. I think a lot of things also with the UGC or creator management. I think there's this misconception in the market that the hard part is finding creators, right? So there's a lot of people solving for finding creators. They don't really understand that finding creators is the easy part. The hard part is everything that comes with it, right? With your apps, lots that we've with our two campaigns, do you have a clear like before and after snapshot? Not necessarily just directly from our campaign, but with momentum, with the kind of marketing side of things, distribution side of things. Is there a clear difference that you could see that you could attribute to those campaigns?
I would say like I think my case is kind of unique because like a lot of the times when I worked with you, it was even before the app was even launched. It was
Yeah,
kind of we had situations where it would be like you'd be telling me, okay, cool, we're gonna launch the UGC. I'm like, oh, we haven't launched the app yet. Just give us another week. So for us, it was like before was nothing itself, and like for Pro Screen, I think within like I think we worked in November, and then by January we were doing 10K a week in revenue itself. So it's like it's from nothing to that.
yeah.
So that was like pretty good.
Yeah, no, that was a praise screen was amazing. I mean, it was super fun to do as well. I think we found some very interesting formats. Lots with all this, I have to ask you, for everyone watching, is there any experiments or maybe, what's one marketing experiment or product decision that failed, and what did you take away from it? Is there any like of those failures that stuck with you?
Yeah, yeah. I would say so. It ended up becoming like a huge success for us, but like originally we thought it was a failure, and I think that's a failure within itself because we didn't analyze it properly. Was looking at basically you need to tie your revenue model to what your app does best. What stat or your app does best. So what I mean by this is if your conversion is super high compared to the average, so let's say the average is 2 to 3%, and your conversion from install to paid is like 8 to 10%, you need to get as much cash up front. So just optimize on yearly because you can just get the cash up front. Yes, the higher and also like increase your price incrementally every 2 weeks and just see because again even if you reduce the amount of conversion that's happening your net revenue is actually increasing regardless at the end of the day and just keep on doing that until you see okay your net revenue decrease or plateau itself so that's something for us our conversion was never anything amazing like it wasn't like oh yeah the best thing ever but our retention was world class we had day 30 60% retention right? And then, so this is then goes to the mistake I guess we made early on was that we were kind of like, oh yeah, cool. If our retention is that great, let's run ads within our app. So because as of right now, if our conversion is 4% from install to paid, what we're seeing is that that's a nice way to say, yeah, cool, 4% of people converting, but that also means that 96% of people are leaving itself. So you basically just 10x in the cost of getting those 4% people in. So I was just kind of like, okay, cool. If we have a free version, but in the free version we show an ad before and after each prayer, we know our retention is going to be good anyway because it's world class. Like I think day 30 average retention benchmark. I think it's like 7% itself. So we're like 8x that already at that point. So like, we have a lot of wiggle room at the end of the day. So we did that and we used Google Ad Mobs at first because it's pretty plug and play. And then we looked at the numbers and we were only getting like 1 cent per user per day or something like that from the ads. And then we stopped doing it. Right. And again, this is the most of my fault. I didn't really um, properly look at what we could do to optimize that. Then it was early after conversation with, Furkan, who's at Founders Inc. And he was finally the ex CTO of AppLovin. He was just like, why are you using why are you using a Google AdMob? Just use AppLovin. So we did that, and instead, so before we just had Google that was just bidding for the ad space on their own. Then we had AppLovin, who was at the mediator, and then we had multiple, like we had Unity, Meta, Google, also AppLovin bidding. Then our average revenue per user per day was then like four, like, I think it's like 5 cents, right? And I remember I told you because of our good creative, we were getting like let's call it 50 cents per install. So now we know that we can actually get return on investment in 10 days. So now we just need to optimize the product to make sure the person retains for 10 days. And we know they are going to anyways because we know our retention is actually 60% day 30. And funnily enough, our free users had a higher retention rate than our paid users itself. So that's something I kind of like learned is like experiment with kind of like how you can make money because you just kind of like never know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, this is super interesting. This is so fun to even listen to because I can remember some parts of it, especially with Praise Screen, looking back some of the things you were doing, and a lot. So, doing a recap or kind of having a whole overview of this, if you were starting over with a consumer app today, and you were doing it all over again, would you do anything differently to get your first 50K users? And if not, what would be kind of the process you're looking at?
Yeah, like let's take something that actually I'm very interested in at the moment. Again, is the Christian space, but actually in the gaming
Mhm.
sector. I don't know if you've seen those games. Well, there's two types of games. There's kind of like Clash of Clans kind of games, and then there's kind of more casual, which is like you go left to right, plus five, minus, all that kind of stuff. I kind of thought to myself, again, this is again, let's even do it live right now. I was kind of like gaming. This is actually how the idea came. So we were doing ads in pre-screen. I use pre-screen myself on a daily basis, and I kept on seeing the same ad every time. And it was something called winter whiteout. The same ad every single time. And I was just like, what's going on? So I've gone on
Mhm.
the Sensor Tower to just say, oh, what's this game? Blah blah. Guess how much they make a month?
No idea.
Just guess any number. I bet like anything you say is gonna be probably 10x that, but maybe even 100.
Let me say 150K a month.
Probably like I don't know what the math is on that, but anyways, it's 109 million a month.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so I was just like, wait, what the hell? And it's just one of those games where it's kind of you go in, you build your little town, all that kind of stuff itself. And I'm just like, look, there's so many of these games. There's a lot of them. And they're printing ridiculous money because obviously they can monetize in different ways. Because of course they have like a money glitch because it's kind of like just buy coins, right? And these coins kind of can do whatever you want, or like every level you watch an ad itself or whatever it is through there. So I'm kind of like, okay, can I bring that into the Christian space? Because I already have like a huge email list of these Christians already, all that kind of stuff. I already see multiple people winning already. And when I look in the Christian space, no one is doing like a proper tycoon type game itself. It always tends to be kind of like Wordle, but with like Christian words. That's kind of like max it goes. So I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. Maybe there's actually something interesting there. So now going to the playbook, what I'll do is that I've learned a lot of these gaming companies, they go straight into paid ads, right? And I'm just kind of like, I could probably do a lot of UGC stuff itself and kind of like win on that side. So what I'll do is again, like I'd want to work with you guys, for example, if I was going to go with it and be like, okay, cool, how many creators can I stack all in once in 1 month to be able to have many shots on goal? Can I test 100 hooks in a month across different creators and seeing which ones are working? And then marrying those two things with what I already see working with the other gaming companies and the ads that they do, right? Already, because I already have like a bookmark of these whenever I see them. I'm like, okay, cool, put that in, whatever, because clearly it's working. That's what I'll do first. Then after I'll find the ones obviously that are working consistently, and then I will then scale with ads. But what I'll do with ads, again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's like how I discovered this whole idea is because I looked at in-app ads. So what I would actually do is also I would still do the TikTok, still do the Meta, but I'll also explore in-app ads in other Christian apps because it's gonna be like, okay, cool. The people that own these apps will get extra revenue itself from their end, but also gonna be marketing to my exact target audience, right? And the game for me is going to be something like hey, building your own church, building your own ministry, like I don't know, upgrade this, upgrade that. You get more people in your ministry, and maybe on a Sunday wherever you are in the world, you have to like log in because it's like church. I don't know, whatever it is on that end. And I'll take the same practices I've learned. Again, a lot of these games don't really have onboarding processes. I may install that just to be like, okay, cool. Maybe that would actually help people convert so much earlier itself. Maybe it won't work, but it's also one of those ones. I think it's one of those ones where you just have to write down all the things that I could try and make sure you don't leave any stone unturned. And I think that's kind of the key thing.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, when you have something like this where it's like clearly the apps are already working, the game's already printing, and then you have like an audience on social media that you know you can market to, I mean, that's pretty much all you need to then come up with your kind of go to market. And lots, just to finish off here, it's been amazing talking to you. I want to ask you if the people watching could only see this part of our video, of our interview, what's one piece of advice that you could leave every app founder with before launching? So that core piece of advice do you think people should all know about when launching?
I think mine could be quite controversial, but I'm kind of like, you're not special. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people see kind of like benchmark figures and they ignore it. And they're kind of like, no, I'm gonna look at the top 1% app that's making 50 million a year, and I'm now gonna work exactly how they're doing it as of right now. You haven't seen what's going on behind the scenes. You haven't seen the growth of the last year, the optimizations they've been doing, the things that have worked and not worked itself. Just find something that's already working near the level of you already, and then just duplicate that as a base. Then you would then learn off the audience and then go off on your own path. So that's kind of like the key thing I would say for sure. And because like for example, benchmark figures are benchmark figures for a reason. That means like 90% of people are hitting those benchmarks at the end of the day. And like again, a big gripe of mine is when I speak to founders about putting paywalls in the multiple paywalls in their onboarding. They're talking to me about other things that I need to put on retention, blah blah blah. I'm just like literally all you need to do, it's not even a line of code. You don't need to push a new version, bro. Like literally, this is all something that you can do remotely and just click a button, and then put another abandoned cart paywall. Like a lot of the successful apps, I won't name it, but like a lot of the successful apps, I know for a fact I've seen their dashboards. 40% of their revenue comes from their abandoned cart paywall, right? But a lot of people just don't know that, and they're kind of like, oh, I don't want to like, I don't want to annoy my user. I'm just like, users are more mentally strong than you think.
Yeah, and not only that, most people don't even see your stuff until you remind them three, four, five times.
Exactly, exactly that. So that's something that I would definitely advise people.
Yeah. Lots. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I think super happy that we finally had the time to do this, and I think there's a lot of sauce here for people to catch on. And yeah, is there anything you want to leave us with? Obviously, we'll leave your socials below. Is there anything from your side before we finish this off?
Yeah, I would say like everything I've said today, it's not because I'm some kind of savant of, mobile apps. It's through trial and error, that I've learned things. So even now, like I've kind of transitioned to the B2B space. It's the same thing, and like I'm learning myself, right? That I'm not special, and I should play games that I can. So to give like a quick example, was like we were kind of going into the AI B2B space. We started off with an AI inbox. We're like, yeah, we can help, influencer teams organize the email. Then we went into like AI video gen, AI twins of influencers. Then I literally spoke to a customer and I was just like, yo, this is what I'm trying to do. And he just asked me, okay, what's your goal? And I just kind of like, look, my main thing is like creators are earning more and more money than ever before. I want to get into payment flow.
Yeah,
And he literally screen shared with me. He was just like, "Fuck this AI video thing you're telling me about. Right now, paying UGC creators is an absolute pain at the moment." And he literally screen shared it with me. And he was kind of like, "Yo, look, because they're based all around the world, they don't know how to send invoices itself for compliance sakes, and also the payment terms vary. So some people on retainers, some people's kind of like
yeah.
base plus amount of views, and you have to kind of like calculate at the end of the month, and it takes like 4 or 5 hours to get everything done, and then they want different payment methods. And then we were kind of like, okay, you know what? Let's actually just build specifically for that, and then we did that, and before even launch, we have like 500K of GTV going through us already, right?
Yeah.
So again, this is something I've learned. Is like why wasn't that so clear to me? Because
Yeah.
I've worked with these agencies, I've worked with you guys, I've been the people paying UGC
Yeah.
creators myself. But again, it's just something like again, hindsight is always 2020. That's kind of the key thing.
No, man, and yeah, I'll leave you with that. It's a great idea. It's a big pain and it's a big market, and B2B is great as
Mhm.
well. So I wish you the best of luck, lots. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully, we run a V2 of this interview in a few months. Cheers, man.
All right, cool. Thank you.